GunninGamerz here. Pilot log number 2 is here, and we are going to be having a bunch of fun today, hopefully. Now, if you guys watched my pilot log number 1, that was me coming in, getting my test done to get certified to be able to start flying some loads, and I promised another video, where we were actually moving some cargo. If you've been watching our twitch.tv/GunninGamerz live streams, you've already watched us do probably about a half dozen loads, and my first 2 were complete utter disasters. Word of advice, don't fly short grass runways at night without lights. Had a big crash in the first one. We had the second one that I slid into the trees and got a little bit of damage. First one was $22,000 of damage. The second one was $3,000 of damage to the plane. And then, actually, you know what? I take that back. That one, the game crashed, and it was 0. There was nothing. I got a horseshoe in my pocket on that one, but nothing was that damaged anyway, so I don't think it really registered it as being too catastrophic, and I didn't have to fix my plane, so that one I got lucky. But then I had another one I was doing on a live stream, and my plane iced up and fell out of the sky. And I had a really hard landing in some farmer's field and ended up paying $3,000 of damage for that. So my rating was going down in the toilet. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Autopilot was on and it just fell out of the sky. Here's my first load. My second load, again, I got really lucky. It was during a live stream. The game crashed and it didn't register. The one after that, I think, was my third one, and that's the one my plane fell out of the sky and I got some damage. So I was suffering pretty badly. I did have one successful one in there somewhere. That's how I kind of was maintaining. And then after that, I did a live stream during the day, and I started tweaking my settings a little bit. I'm just going to run over that for one quick second, too. Basically, we upped the job amount. I had that somewheres in here by default. Folks, if you're doing this, do yourself a favor. Give yourself lots of stuff to do and lots of stuff to choose from. Unless if you're really, if maybe you don't care about having that many choices. It does, when you're playing in a career setting like I am, where it's very difficult, it's nice to have some more choices. It's not cheaty. Technically, there's just more work to do. Distance, I highly recommend when you're flying the smaller planes, do not move this up. It will generate longer distance loads, which you would think, hey, that's more money. Wrong. Not the case at all. I found that they were paying the same and they were just making me fly farther, which is more fuel, more wear and tear. So if anything, by default, it's right here in the middle. You could even try going down. I haven't done it, but I did go up to here and I didn't like that. So I put that back. Size is still the same. Internal jobs haven't touched. And then the airport smaller. This is what I wanted to share with you. It is by default on the second click. I went up to number 4. And basically what that did was it gives me a shot at an international airport once in a while. It gives me some regional airports a little bit more often. And it gives me a lot more municipal airports that have asphalt runways of like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 feet with lights. And when it does throw a grass, it's been throwing me ones that are like 2,000 feet and have lights on them. So that's better than a 1,500 foot with no lights. So I highly recommend, if you're kind of a noob pilot like me, put that right here, or, I mean, you could go all the way up, but that's going to be feeling a little bit weird when they have you fly into international airport all the time. So I would probably recommend a setting like this. Going back to my rep, you can see I had a day during a stream, as I was talking about, where I did 3 loads, all successful. That really started to help me out. Had another one, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday or the day before. I've had a couple in here. I was during another stream. Here's yesterday. Yesterday I ran another one, which is where we left off. And I've been finally getting a few loads done. And I was at one point negative $15,000 in the hole because of the crashes and everything. And now I'm up to nearly 19,000. So we've got rent covered. Rent's 15 grand this month. That's due in the end of the month, end of October. So I've already got my rent, and we're doing pretty decent. We're starting to get something going. Now, one thing that I do want to point out, you'll see how my total rep, which is really what drives this whole program, as far as being able to, have a pilot, get a loan, do, a lot of different things. You got to have at least a rep of 40 to be able to do like steady passenger stuff. You got to have a rep of 60. Now you can see where my cargo rep has gone up from well, 20, and then it dropped, and then it's now up to 25.5. However, my PAX rep, which is your passenger rep, I don't do passengers, that hasn't moved, and my mission rep, not moved. So it started getting me to think a little bit. What do I got to do some missions. I've got to do some missions because otherwise it isn't going to improve. I started looking at the board, and I came in here the other night, and I said, you know what? I got some downtime. I'm gonna fly down and drop a $6,600 load of cosmetics. It was like a 500 some odd pounds. So my plane was a little bit heavy. I flew it down here because look at this. It was my first international airport. Guess what big regional and international airports have? Commodities. You can see right here that there are some commodities here. I started looking through this list and I noticed, and there actually could be something else here even better, but the one that stuck out to me that I'm gonna go ahead and do today is I don't want to fly home empty. I looked at all the stuff around me and I don't really want to fly anywhere else. This is what we're gonna do. $106 the Blu-ray players are down here in the Quad City. If you go up to Eau Claire, you can see that the Blu-ray players are selling for $121, and that's by, I guess, pound. They're sold by the pound, which is kind of weird. I always think of like it's units, but it's by the pound. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to fill up on some Blu-ray players, but we also have this run, which is pretty much in our path, definitely not too far out of the way. You can see if we jump over to the job market, we have fertilizer there of $3,267, and we're going to be hauling only 363 rather. Now I don't want to go more than 500 in my plane when I take off from there, so what I figured I'd do is to kind of make a little extra money. It's going to be like 2,500. I didn't actually do the math. It's over 2 grand. I don't think it's quite 3. We're going to go down and we're going to pick up 137 pounds of Blu-ray player and fly those with us. We'll pick up the load of fertilizer here. That'll be an even 500 pounds, and when we get up there, we'll make just probably shy of about $6,000. And that's going to be our return trip. But that's not it. Last night, I spent some time to just start really looking at this commodity market and looking at a few different things. But then I was like, okay, we got to do those missions, right? We just talked about that. I checked my airport and there wasn't really squat diddly as far as the missions go. People wanted me to fly like halfway across the United States for $1,000, things like that. Bringing some mail. But look what happens to pop up down here at the Quad City. We've got wonderful Holly here. Holly Adams is her name. She wants to buy compact discs. In fact, we'll see it better down here. She wants to buy compact discs, and she will pay $195.20 per pound up to a maximum of 486 pounds. Well, guess what? How much can my plane handle? 486? Perfect. So basically what I did was I thought, I think Eau Claire has that, my home base. We're heading back there. And if I look at our commodity stocks, you will see compact discs selling for 82. That's less than half the price. Long story short, if I were to go and spend 20 grand roughly, which by the time I get back, I'll have, over that, I'll have maybe around 24. I'm going to more than double my money. And I still will not be able to fulfill her order of everything that she's looking for. If we jump back over to the mission, we will see that I have 2 days, 15 hours, 31 minutes to complete her order. So if I get in here like tomorrow, let's say, and I bring a bunch of them down, I'll be walking around with plenty enough money to fly back up and get all that she's asking for and still make another trip down and make a bunch of money. It's this kind of thing you got to do. You got to come in here, you got to spend time, you got to look at the commodities, look at the missions, look at what people want you to do. That's not even scratching the surface for the stock market, the factories, being able to produce things and drop them off. Folks, go out and buy this. It is so worth the $37. I cannot even begin to tell you. So without trying to sound like a salesman, which I'm not, by the way, for these folks, I just really love the product that they've got here. Before I get ahead of myself, I just remembered we got to buy the Blu-ray players first because I want to make some extra cash. We better buy the 137 that we need in order, and that's going to chew up 14 grand. But at least when we get back up there, I'll be able to turn around and sell them. And I forgot how much I'll make. It's just a couple of $1,000s though. We've got 137 of them at 106. It's going to cost me that much money. I've never done this before, so this is going to be the first time purchasing commodities since we're not at our storage unit up there. We're at the airport. That's good. It's going to put them right into our Skyhawk. Oh boy, that was a lot of money. That hurts. That hurts. But we've got what we need. We've got some stuff on board. We're not going to be too heavy. Let's jump into our fleet here and get our aircraft moving. We need to fly this aircraft. All right, I had to go back and check to see where I'd be going. It's Kilo Papa Victor Bravo. Let's go jump back into our flight and type that in. Got her punched in. We're going to go ahead, and that is Platteville, Wisconsin. We're going to use that as the place that we want to go. And on board, I've got my Blu-ray players, so that is already there. That's going to affect our weight. I'll have to put that, I'll probably put that in the seat next to me. So then what we're going to need to do is I'm going to probably start out with about 20 gallons of fuel because I'm not really overloading too much. So 20 gallons rather in each tank. So I'm going to do 40 gallons is what I want to be at. That means I'm going to have to purchase $147 worth of fuel. So both tanks will need to be put to 20 gallon. And everything else is looking good. I do want to tell them that it's going to be a VFR flight, and I'm probably, let's see, where are we heading? We're going to be heading in, I guess, an easterly fashion, so we need to be at an odd altitude. I'll probably do 3,500. And I think everything else looks pretty good. All right, now we can go ahead and get that going. You'll see how that will connect to the simulator so it knows exactly what you're doing. And there it is. You heard that noise. That is the sound of it tossing my plane around. Now, it happens to be raining in here. That's kind of a bummer, but I think it's pretty warm. And I do want to mention, this is my very first video with the Track IR. I purchased a Track IR this past week, so I'll be using that a little bit today, and you'll see that in our trucking videos in the future when we get back to doing some more of that. But we've got our plane ready. It is cold and dark, so we're going to have to run through, and here it says, welcome to your flight. So we're going to have to run through, get everything set up, check everything on the plane, and then we'll be ready to go. And just to point out, as you guys see, I do have some friends in here flying today. We're on our own little server, and so I won't be able to do the whole, talking to the aircraft control and things like that. We'll just have to take off, but we will get a weather report and such before we leave. Okay, the message said no fuel trucks are available at this airport. It could be a multiplayer thing. With that being said, they're not going to come fill us up, so we're going to go ahead and just do it ourselves. Now, I could go and scoot over to a pump, which is normally the way I like to do it, but I kind of want to cut to the chase today and get things where they need to be. All right, we got sorted out to 20 gallons in each tank. That's going to leave us with the 40 gallons that we purchased. Again, it's an honor system when you're using the accu-sim planes. If you're using the vanilla planes or you're using the Coronado or whatever else, they're going to automatically put the weight in your plane as well as they're going to put the fuel and everything else in there as need be. But the accu-sim kind of works off of its own engine is how I understand it, so you have to manually do it. Now, you'll notice here that we have some people still in there from basically doing a little bit of looking around as far as what we're going to be flying back with is going to be that 500 pounds. And you can see when we do take off from Platteville Airport, where we're going to be picking up the load of fertilizer, we're going to be pulling away overweight by 100 or 200 pounds. So it's a little bit, dangerous, but right now I only got to worry about one thing, and that's the 137 that I currently have. So this guy's going on a massive diet, and this is what you have to do when you're running an accu-sim plane. You have to manually do it. So there's my 137 pounds of DVD players, or Blu-ray players, I think they were. And then we'll begin our pre-flight checklist. And again, we're going to go through this plane a whole lot more in the future as far as showing all the wonderful things and how realistic it is. But we got a lot to cover again today. So we already removed the pedo cover. Now it's time to go ahead and check for operating handbook. We've got that. Weight and balance, we just did that. Parking brake is indeed set. Control wheel lock, we're going to remove that, put that down in the pocket of the door. We've got to make sure that our ignition switch is off, which it is. We've got avionics master switch is off, which it is. Battery master switch is going to be turned on. There we go. Pitot heat, going to get that warmed up so we can test it in a minute. We've got fuel quantity check, and it looks like we're at 20 gallons. We're going to do a manual check on that here in a second too. Avionics master switch is on. And we've got the airport info coming across because I've already tuned that in when I came down yesterday.
Greater than 20 miles in light rain. Sky conditions 5,500 scattered.
All right, looks like sky conditions are going to be good at 35.
Altimeter 29090.
And they want us to use runway 9 for landing and departing. So we'll go ahead and do that.
Direction of flight. All aircraft feedback hold short instructions.
We also need to make sure our altimeter is at 29090, so I'm going to check that real quick. And there's 29089, so you changed it on us. Let's go ahead and make sure our alt static air is off, and that is all the way in. We got to check our panel lights and make sure that they're all functioning, and I'm just checking here, and yes they are. We're good to go. Flaps are extended to 10%, which will allow us to check them. Forgot about the shut off valve down here, and our selector switch has got to be on both. We've got those in. We're jumping over to turn off our pitot heat so we don't run our battery too low. Shut off the avionics, shut off the battery, and we want to make sure that we're trimmed for takeoff, which we are. Now we'll go ahead and step outside the plane real quick, and that thing should show up red. It is, so that means it's working good. Make sure our storage compartment is locked, and there it was, unlocked. That's why we check it. We got to remove all of our tie downs here. We'll get that off. Check and make sure all these parts are in good working order, which they look like they're okay. Everything's nice and tight. Jumping through, we're going to remove that one. And I did finally update, so now I can finally remove my wheel chocks instead of having to go in and do it the other way. Alright, so that's looking okay there. We're going to do a manual check, 20 gallons, it's right on. Checking our oil, looking good. I filled her up before we left Eau Claire. Checking our fuel, everything's looking nice. Looking at the nose. Making sure there's no shop rags. One of these days there's going to be a shop rag or something in there. Maybe a dead bird. Static openings are all good. Checking fuel over here. And we're right at 20 where we need to be. Checking fuel. Everything's looking good. Remove our wheel chock. Tires are looking nice and inflated. Remove that tie down. Checking these openings here. Everything is good. And we're moving on to our last wing here. That one looks like there's a little bit of play in there. We'll have to pop into the shop because we might have a little bit of wear going on, and that's why I always like to check into the hangar. I know it's kind of weird when you're out on the road like this, but everything says nice condition. I always like to pop in here because sometimes if I miss something it'll show up in here, but we're looking real nice. And I have been watching my number 2 cylinder. It's a little bit more wore than the others, and I'm just going to keep an eye on it, but it's going to take a lot of hours before that's probably going to need to be replaced as long as we don't damage the engine. And this is how much I'm up to. And yes, I had to do another complete overhaul because when my plane fell out of the sky, I was having a lot of problems with my vacuum pump. So that thing went to heck, and I changed it, and I was having so much problems with vacuum pressure down here on this gauge that I didn't know what else to do. I found out it was a glitch I was having, and during the process, so I clicked the complete overhaul again, which I hated doing. So we're kind of getting another fresh plane, but anyway, that's how many hours I'm up to on this old bird now. Now we can zoom out and do the fun part, and that's to fire the thing up. We're going to prime it, so we're going to flip our fuel pump on here. In fact, I can zoom in because you guys probably want to see this. I usually use the panels, the buttons on the SciTech panel. But you'll see down here, it's been so long since I've had to use the in-game. There's your fuel pump. You want to pull that in. That's going to read 0. And then you want to just go rich for a second. Feeds a little bit of fuel. shut that thing off. If you guys want to know like all the ins and outs from an expert, go watch A2A. Go watch their videos on this plane. That's where I learned how to do it, and they'll walk you right through much more in depth from people that actually made the product and have a pilot's license. But we'll go ahead and turn the key over here. And I forgot to mention you got to crack that throttle a little bit there. Again, I'm using my throttle quadrant. There she goes. Make sure that we flip on our alternator. Running our battery a little bit low. I like to look at my temps outside there as well. Okay. Wow, we're up to 78 degrees and it quit raining. Make sure that you're idling at about 800 to 1,000. I've kind of read two different things. And make sure you're leaned out. Otherwise you will follow the plugs. You need to get the thing warmed up above 100 degrees Fahrenheit before you run it up or rev it up over 1,000. So we're just gonna have to sit for a minute and wait. Thankfully it's a pretty nice warm day actually for October. Of course we're down here in Iowa. During this time it's always good though to flip this on and you can set up your GPS, which I have failed to do when I logged in. Now a lot of people have asked me all the time, like, how do you set that? Which I couldn't figure out for the longest time either, but what you want to do is hold your mouse cursor over the push cursor and roll your mouse wheel. That'll get you started typing, and then the easiest thing to do is just to revert to your keyboard and type in where you're trying to go. And I clearly got the wrong thing in there. There we go. I always get that backwards. Okay, so it's Kilo Papa Victor Bravo. And that's Platteville, Wisconsin. And now what you want to do is click enter. They're going to ask you to activate, enter again, and one more time. And now we've got the route on our GPS set. Tells us it's only 74 nautical miles. It'll give us a time, estimated time, of course, once we're airborne, once we're moving. This is your ground speed. So just, a couple things to be looking at there. I also like to go up here and check my magnetic compass. It's pointing 38 degrees, and this one is 38 degrees. So it's important to do that as well so that, you know everything's in tune there. I've had that thing knocked out of whack a few times. And there's tons of other stuff. Again, I cannot emphasize enough, I am a noob. I am just learning. I've been away from flight sim for a decade, and even then I was just in here to fool around and not really do anything serious. So I am trying to take it serious now, so I'm trying to learn. So be kind to me in the comments section, and give me any pointers if you'd like. I definitely am getting a lot of real pilots and enthusiasts and everything else coming into the Twitch live streams, and thank you to all those that have come in and passed on some great advice for me. I'm trying to get better at what I'm doing here. We're almost up to 100, so 93. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna scorch our cylinders by getting things rolling here. I'm gonna get the Platteville Unicom tuned in there, which happens to be 12270. We've got that on here. I'll just switch over to that right now because I really don't want to listen to this guy yap. That way we're all set and ready to go. You can click that off of our screen, and now we certainly are up to 196, close enough. Alright, I like to get a visual of the outside of the plane just to double check everything is good to go. And again, we're into multiplayer, so I can't announce my taxi or anything like that. A couple people wanted to come fly. We host a server a lot of times and have folks come and join. I'll probably be doing VATSIM in the future. But at this point, I'm really not wanting to get on there with my noobishness and get yelled at by aircraft control. And we've had some problems with FS Cloud. It's just really laggy. Okay, well, it seems like an hour. I finally got in the right place here, and we're coming up to runway 9. This was crazy, a lot of taxiing for a little plane like mine. But this is an international airport with huge runways, so we are going to do our run-up right now, check our magnetos. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm fouled out. If you wonder why I run so lean, I've had a lot of problems with fouling spark plugs with this plane because I am running the most common type of spark plug instead of the fine wire because I want to learn the proper procedure of how to lean out when taxing and things like that. So I tend to run a little bit lean, and I've had people yell at me like, you need to run more rich. Trust me, I follow plugs when I do that. So let's go ahead and do a magneto check here. There's left. Yeah, right's a little bit gummed up. Left. And right. We're good to go. Alright, again, we can't notify of our takeoff because we're in the multiplayer session and it's not available. Alright, we'll pull out here. Get ourselves all lined up, and I'm also going to go ahead and dump these. I'm going to turn my flaps back off. Basically, we don't need any flaps to get off the ground. And here we can see one of the guys here is ready to go, and we've got 2 more that are coming. So I'm going to go ahead and get airborne here before I follow some more plugs out. I don't know what happened, but my game just froze up for a minute there, and I thought I was going to crash. Okay, that was really scary and weird. I guess I'll go back and try that again. We'll wait for him to get moving. It's probably not a good idea to pull up behind him in case if there's any debris or anything like that. We'll wait for him to clear the runway. Quick magneto check, we're good to go. We'll get our headphones in so we can hear ourselves think. And we'll kind of ease into it here. Yeah, that was really weird what happened. And there we're at full power. Definitely not holding center line very well. We've got a little bit of a wind here. Some sideways action. Woo! Alright, we got airborne here. Wow, I've got to work a lot on, we have a little bit of a wind blowing us like that. Just got to work a lot on being able to, compensate for that once I go airborne. I'm pretty hard on the rudder right now to keep her steered straight. I'm let off of that a little bit. Do a nice little climb. Climb up to, let's see, we're at 1,000 here. I didn't get any of my GPS stuff set, but that's okay. Or rather, my autopilot. Turn on our track IR. See a nice busy highway down there. Yeah, it's really weird to try to get used to it, but it is kind of a nice tool. Climb, climb, climb. We're at 2,000. We're gonna go and set our autopilot to do some flying here for us. And we'll make sure that gets us on course. I also need to make sure that my vertical speed is not set to what it was. It was at 600. Let's see. Yeah, we would do about, I'll do about 400. Set our altitude up to the 35. There. I'm still working that all out, but we got her set to what we want. Now we're well on our way, so we will fly and come back at you as soon as we're getting ready to descend into Platteville. Oh, what a wonderful day to be flying. We've hit our 3,500. We've got our speed. Everything's looking good. We're got our mixture out where it needs to be. And I wanted to pull a GPS up. It says it's only going to be about 20 some minutes. So, I mean, before we know it, we're going to be touching back down again. I've got one plane right up ahead of me. And I've got another one right off to the side over here, but I don't see that one at the moment. He's there, though. But not much else to do until we get there, which won't be too long. Well, we're about 5 minutes out. We're cutting through a little piece of Illinois, and just really beautiful, nice fall. I'm a little bit salty because up by me in Wisconsin, which, by the way, our leaves have not turned and our grass is very green here. They've made us lose all of our leaves in here, and our ground is turned completely brown. It doesn't even look like fall anymore. It looks like winter. So it's kind of nice to actually fly south and see some of the nice fall colors, but we're just a few minutes away, but we have to divert to, it's actually telling me it's coming up. We got to divert and go up and around because the wind is coming pretty strong out of the southeast, 150 at 17 knots. So we're going to divert up and around and then come in on runway 15 in Platteville there. Alright, I'm going to actually turn it on navigation, and I want to follow my heading here, which is basically due north. And this is going to get us up and around to come in from the north, I guess northwestern side, which is runway 15 at this airport. And there we go. Just head north a little bit, and then we'll bank and come in. Nice approach. We've got a plane off to our right here, but it's time for me to, oh, it's right behind me. Jeez, I didn't even see. Okay, so I gotta get down and I gotta bank. I just wanted to get out and let these other planes get around here. We've got some traffic in the sky. I'm gonna cut my speed. I got too focused on my recording and not so much where I was going. I flew a little bit farther past it than I wanted to, but oh, it's way, way up there. There is a bunch of traffic down there now. We got 4 planes here. We got to watch out. This is definitely not the way you'd want to do her in RL, having this much people coming in at one time, but I'm going to go ahead and put my flaps down. Since we're right at 110 there. I usually like to wait till I'm down to 100 just because, you know, I don't want to risk getting a wind gust and then damaging them. 110 is the minimum. But, we're doing it a bit dicker today. We want to run rich as we're coming in here as well. Just in case if we have to abort our landing and take back off again, we don't need our engine to be choking out on us. Boy, I hope they get clear of that runway. And again, we've got a wind of 150. And it's at 17 knots, so this is just working out perfect.
500.
Yeah, we're at 500. I'm definitely getting blown around a little bit. Throw my flaps down to 20%.
Minimums.
I don't remember what they said this runway was. It's probably just 3,500 feet maybe. We'll go down to full 30.
100.
And gonna get ready to cut my throttle here in a
50.
minute.
40.
I'm touching down a little bit far back,
30.
but I'd rather have the extra.
20.
Well, it'll be about right where everybody else does.
10.
There we go. Ooh, that wind. Whoop, came down a little bit hard there. Kind of a little bit of a bounce. Ooh, I got an okay on that one. Would have been a greaser if I went to pulled up at the last minute. A little bit harder than I normally like to come in at, but it's okay. It is an awful windy one. We'll just pull right up here, and we've got to load up the 300 and some odd pounds of fertilizer. It's kind of weird to be hauling that. You'd think that there'd be a co-op a little bit closer, but we don't ask questions. And we'll pull up over here. I'm not even going to shut the engine down. I want to keep everything running so that I can get airborne again. And we got to also make note that we feather... we go back on our mixture a little bit here. Whoa, came in hot there. Otherwise, if you come in and you leave her rich, you'll, like I said, you'll fall out those plugs. And I'll put my flaps up to 10%. And I also want to make sure that I trim myself for takeoff again. And there's our windsock. And there's the fuel over there. I think that's what I'm going to do is pull up over there. Because when I take this load, I may have to make some adjustments to my fuel. We're kind of flying in a convoy today. I'm really going way too fast. Now, I'm not thinking I'm gonna need to fuel up because if I get my mouse over here, we're running, gosh, 16 gallons. You know, I don't know what my range would be. It's hard now that I'm on the ground, but I don't know. I've got 16, so I should be running about 32 gallons. We started out with 40, and we're already part of the way there. I don't want to be too overloaded. I might put 2 gallons maybe in. I don't know. We'll shut it off. Remove our headset. I'd rather have a little extra fuel, but I'll get into air hauler and we'll figure it out. Alright folks, well we're here and now we need to finish our flight monitoring, I believe, because we haven't accepted that job. I didn't want to accept it until I was actually here. I don't know, didn't really feel comfortable in doing so. Our landing performance was okay. Hopefully we didn't damage anything. And then we need to go into this airport now. Go over to the jobs rather and click on this airport. We've got a load that's going to show up here. Yeah, they don't even have commodities. And we see the 363 quantity or pounds, I say, of the fertilizer. So we're going to go ahead and accept. I want to double check. Yeah, it's going from here to Eau Claire, just to be sure. It'd be nothing worse than finding out, uh-oh, I actually got to go up there and get it and come back. So you want to definitely double check. So we've got that load, and now we're going to hit fly now. And going to show everything here is good to go. And it already has 137 of Blu-ray players in there. So now we're going to load this right there. That's kind of weird. Oh, it's also factoring in fuel, duh. All right, so what we know, we've got to put 500 in there. And I'm probably, okay, so total fuel is at 32. We're going to pick a nice even number of 36, which is going to get us an estimated, well, technically, gosh, if you look at that, I mean, 443 in Eau Claire is not, but I don't know how far it was. I forgot what it said. Let's see. Move this over. There's your distance, 138. 138 right here. We've got 443, and we've actually got a tailwind. So you know what? I'm not going to take off any heavier. That's why I only put 20 gallons in. But never mind all that other hoopla. Let's just go ahead and hit OK. And we're going to tell them that we're heading in a westerly fashion. So I guess I'll do, yeah, 84,000 feet. How about 45,000? That'd be even better. Wow. Get that 0 out of there and put in 4,500 feet, I think is what we'll do today. Shouldn't be too bad. Now we could definitely go up higher, but remember that ceiling was at like 55, and we want to stay 500 under that. So we're doing VFR as well, and going up there to Eau Claire, going back home. Accept and fly, and we'll go ahead and hit OK. It's got to connect and sync up. It already knows we're at that airport. Holy cow, and you guys hear that nonsense? That is air hauler throwing my plane. Wow. Do I hope that I did not just like total this thing out hitting that pump. That was really, really freaky. Why it does that. I'm not sure why. I really don't know why it does that. It every time it syncs up, it just tosses me like forward. Alright, we're barely going to get this one done in time for dark, and we've got another buddy there that's moving in. He's about to land at this airport, and then we'll be all flying out again. So we need to go in, and still can't believe it threw my aircraft forward. We need to get our weight all fixed up. We're hauling 500. Alright, there's 200, and there's 300 in the back, so there's our 500 pounds, if my math is correct. And we've got our fuel, and that brings us just about 100 over, but I've done as much as 27, and it isn't pretty, but we've got a great wind today. I don't know. It's not that cool outside, but the air, you know, we're going to be fine. I'm not too worried about the weight of where we're at. But however, I don't recommend trying this at home. With that being said, now we've got to restart our plane now that it's throwing us off the asphalt here almost. All right, and be terrible if we couldn't get it started again. I've got my feet on the brakes here. I'm going to get all of our lights back on. And of course, we can't forget about our alternator. That's very, very important. I am going to go with flaps at 10. Just to make sure we get a little extra lift. And then we'll trim for takeoff here. There we go. Gonna take a little bit extra force to get us off this grass. Look at how far it moved us. Goodness. All right, got some traffic here. Wait for him to turn off. And you can also see here, man, I know that it's really loud, but I love that sound. You can also see here how we have our window fogging up. I need to get some ventilation going in here. That's the accu-sim 182 right there, if you're wondering. We'll be flying that one here. Probably be the next plane that I go with. It's basically like the same thing, but with a 6-cylinder, a little bit more power, can handle a little bit more weight. Still a 4-seater. We're going to go back down to runway 15 because that's where we're going to want to take off. Now, they don't have a taxiway, so I'll actually... It looks like I'm going to be having a taxi right down the runway, which is okay. Again, I cannot talk to aircraft control or anything since we are in multiplayer, hosting our own server. Already checked my altimeter and all that. We're all good to go on all that stuff, so we are ready to rumble, get back in there. All I got to do is check my magnetos. It's easier to do with the headset off. Left. Right. Perfect. Alright, we'll put on the headset. Take one last look at all these classy fellers behind me. Very nice. Another one around here somewhere. And away we go. Now we're at full power. Just let her ease off the runway. There she goes. Whoa, she's windy. Get a little bit of lift, and we're gonna go up with our flaps. Probably should have held the flaps for just a second longer, but there we go. We're going to climb again to 4,500. It'll be getting dark right about the time that we're coming into Eau Claire, so this will probably take us just a little bit of time. That's kind of the neat thing too about doing these flights, is that it actually takes hours and hours for us to complete them. I mean, I guess it's not so cool when my schedule is super busy, but I enjoy it. Alright, we'll flip back over to GPS. Turn on our navigation. I want to make sure that we're not climbing at a rate. I don't know why it jumped up like that to 700. That is like not a good thing. So we want to go up probably at a rate of about 400. We're not running too heavy, but you got to be careful. Again, I'm still working on sorting this thing out with my SciTech panel. I've mostly got it figured out, but... And then we got to change that to be 4,500, as you can see right there. We're already at 25, so that's not too bad. Beautiful sky tonight, though. Take a look out the window. Some of the things you can do with the Track IR. Some of the views that you can see that you normally otherwise couldn't do. I think this one here is pretty cool. How you can kind of look up, like it's almost a little bit unrealistic. My hand got kind of blocked it there, but yeah, you can kind of see right up and over, which I think is kind of neat. If I kind of sit up out of my seat all the way down to the floor. Well, as I climb here, I'm kind of getting a little bit too close to the clouds, so I want to go ahead and adjust my altitude down to, I'll just run at 4,100. That way we're in compliance with traffic. There we go. Dropping down a little bit. Ooh, we're getting a little bit of a nasty wind there. We're gonna lean out a little bit. I forgot to do that earlier. Need to make sure that we're efficient with our fuel, otherwise we may have some trouble. Temperatures outside are about 49 degrees Fahrenheit, so we're looking good there. And we got our flaps up. That is very important. I've been double checking and triple checking that so many times. I made a couple of mistakes early on where I didn't get those things pulled until I was like 2 miles away from the airport, and I was like, oh man, no wonder why I wasn't getting up to speed. Such an idiot. Alright, now we're right at that 4100. It should go ahead and level itself out. There it goes. Perfect. We'll pull up our GPS, see what it tells us here. Got our airspeed up a little bit there. We're going to have to watch that. We shouldn't have any problems, but it says we got about a 47-minute flight, so not too bad. Not too bad. And our ground speed is about 152. So anyway, we should have a really nice little flight. That's a perfect time for me to sit back and enjoy these beautiful clouds in front of us. Alrighty folks, we're coming into Eau Claire and we've got the weather coming across. Looks like the wind is 120 at about 10, so we're going to come in on runway 14 into Chippewa Valley. Now that is a non-ILS approach. That's the shorter, I think it's a 5,000 foot asphalt. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and skirt around the town here and then we'll come in. I've got visual on the airport, kind of got visual. I'm going to go ahead and start cutting our speed a little bit. Alright, we've got visual on the airport. Again, there's the runway 04. We don't want to land on that one or we'd have kind of a rough crosswind, so we're going to skirt out to the west here and then come in. I can barely see our runway. Runs crossways, of course. And that wind is kind of tossing us around a little bit. But it is time for us to really slow down and start dropping our altitude a little bit. Looks like we made it with plenty of fuel. I mean, we could have gone a lot farther, and that's good. I always like to carry a little bit extra. I am not touching anything on the plane right now, and I mean, it's just tossing us around a little bit. Shouldn't be that bad. It's only, what, 10 or 12 knot wind? It's going to be interesting. Really start cutting back on that airspeed. So you guys will have to let me know in the future what you want to see more in these videos. I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, well, we'd like to see more flying. Maybe some would want to see more of the actual guts of the air hauler. I kind of plan to do a little bit of mixture of both. But throw it up in the comments. Let me know what you like seeing. I know this video we did a lot of looking at air hauler, but I'm also trying to educate those that aren't running it yet what it's all about and why they ought to get it. And hopefully here in the next couple of episodes we'll kind of come in, take a very brief look at our progress, what we're hauling, and then get into the air. And I want to try to do a lot of these videos short because really a a lot of the in-between stuff, I don't think people are gonna want to see all of that. Granted, if the weather or scenery is super amazing, or you know, we've got some rough weather, then we definitely may want to think about, you know, recording that in the middle. But what I'm kind of thinking is that we do more of the takeoffs, getting ourselves situated in the air, and then getting all of our final approach, and then landing. So that's what my plan is, to try to keep these videos down a little bit in size. Just let me know though, like I said in the comments, what you think. I'll definitely be doing a lot more of these, as I am absolutely loving running air hauler. Now I'm going to turn on this wonderful track IR, because I need to look out, and now I can see that runway. So I have never landed on this runway before. This is my first time. I've taken off and landed at this airport probably about 3 dozen times now, and this is going to be my first time. Oh man, and I am so not in a good place. Oh jeez. Whoa, that is, yeah. Okay. Get myself situated here. I gotta cut airspeed hard. I am up high. I almost went right past. We can handle this. I know it's not a very beautiful approach, but not everything I do is beautiful. We're gonna throw 10% flaps. Oh, I was right at that 110. I didn't realize. I was at 100 when I said I was gonna do it, and then I picked up speed. Again, you don't want to be up that high. You get a gust of wind, and you can cause some damage. Not that I'm that worried about it. It's not like, you know. Well, then again, air hauler might punish us. So
500.
here's the poppies you got up in front of us, and you can see that we're a little, there we go. You want 2 red and 2 white for those that don't fly. We need to get our speed down to about 75 would be nice. And under 80, 85, you can go ahead and throw some more flaps. It's gonna cause us to go up a little bit, which we're going to counter with our yoke.
Minimums.
Whoop, watch my speed here, watch my speed. I gotta get myself running a little bit rich there. Keep that right hand on the throttle. I have had to abort the landing before, and you don't want to be scrambling to try to find that throttle lever. I am too high. Always remember, white is too high, clouds. White is clouds. Red is danger, too low. Go ahead and
100.
throw our flaps the rest of the way. Get my landing lights on. Holy
50.
buckets.
40. 30.
Try to get a greaser here.
20.
Whoop. I'm coming in really sloppy. We got some fog.
10.
Cut the throttle. Boom! Oh! It was smooth. I didn't know I was going to bounce up like that. Whoopsie daisy. Boy, I couldn't get a greaser landing today if my life depended on it. Just ridiculous. Kind of throws me off though when it starts getting dark and you get that fog, and I'm like, where's the ground? Nice and delicate. Probably not a perfect job, but yeah, we're gonna go with it. Oh man, I don't even want to look. Oh, we're a little bit off, but that's okay. I don't think anyone's gonna judge us too much. So we'll go ahead and rev her up a little touch here. I want to throw on my parking brake. Whoops. And gotta lean it out. Down we go. Can get our aviation stuff off. Turn off all of our lights. And our ignition. Tie downs, wheel chocks, and our control lock. Just a little bit quicker there. Now we can shut down our battery. The last thing that I want to do is check into, gosh, I'm going all over the place. Check into our hangar. So we're up to 47.2 hours. That was fun. It says it runs smooth. So it's changing a little bit. I just love this part of the whole accu-sim. I mean, if this is not the icing on the cake, just being able to go in and... I know I look at it too much, but, you know, I'm learning. I realize in real life you don't do this stuff as often. You don't, you know, get under the hood and dissect the thing every time you fly it for an hour. There's things that I'm not doing 100% either, and so I always like to check in and just kind of see how things are, and then you kind of look at the notes. So everything looks good, but let's get to the good stuff. All right, everyone, we're back in Air Hauler. Let's go ahead and unload our cargo. First, we're going to get rid of the fertilizer, and we get to hear, yay, that is like the best sound ever. Absolutely love that sound. All right, let's go ahead and hit OK on that one. And this one, I don't know what to do with it. I'm thinking that we maybe unload this into... Store this commodity in your base storage. Okay. Yeah, let's just say yes on that, because I don't think I can sell it from there. Commodity is transferred into base storage. Perfect. Okay, so then what we'll do is, I guess we're going to hit OK now that our plane is unloaded, and there it went and moved it again. You could hear that. And finish flight monitoring. We got a smooth landing. Guess it's better than OK on the last one. It took us exactly 1 hour. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK. Now comes the good stuff. We're going to go into the commodity storage of this airport, which I'm going to have to click on. Now there may be a different way to get into this, but I'm not really sure of that way. So what I think I'm going to do here is, here's our Blu-ray players, and we bought them for, what was it, 106? And we're getting 121. So we're not going to get like super rich, but I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And we're going to sell the max. We're going to sell all 137 because I want some cash and I want it now. And that's going to give us, what do we spend? 14,000 something. So yeah, we made about little over 2 grand. I can't remember where we started, but anyway, there we go. Commodity sold, and now we're up to $23,895. So that leaves the big stressful purchase. Going back into commodity, we know that that lady wants to buy compact discs at $195 and some change. It's basically almost $196, we'll say. So what we're going to need to do is buy max. And I hate doing this. I really do. I hate to do this. But what if I hit max? Will that... Oh, that's... Yeah, I don't have... Okay, wow. Don't have that much money. We don't want to buy them all anyway. I thought maybe it would do the max that I have money for. All right, if I do some simple math, and let's say we just do 275. Holy buckets. That is a lot. And that's only going to fulfill half of her order. So what I'm wondering, if I fly down there and sell these to her and come back and use some of my, because I'm going to be out of cash, I'm going to have $1,000 basically. The good thing is my plane is still going to have room to haul something else if I find it. I probably won't, just because I really don't want to have something go wrong with an extra landing in between over, you know what, a couple $1,000 and end up screwing this whole thing up. So I'm probably going to do a direct flight down there and just count my blessings. But that's basically going to get me my 22,550 back, and then you more than double it. I mean, we're going to be sitting, you know, probably around 50 grand in our bank once we get done. And then that's if we return back, which then I could take another load on the way back, come back, buy the rest of the CDs that she wants, which she said I think it was 486. We could get the remaining amount that she needs and pack up and fly back down there. And I've got 2 days, I think it was, 2.5 days to get that done. So for now, this is half of it. It's all I got money for. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spend all of my money. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're down to $1,000, but 275. We're going to be doing so awesome when we get done with this load. That is like absolutely freaking awesome. It still shows us up down here at the Quad City Airport. But here she is, oh Holly Adams. Boy, I tell you, I hope I hope, yeah, she wants 486. I hope she's ready to buy. I hope she's got that cash ready because I am about to take a trip down there. It'll probably be done during a live stream. Who knows? Maybe the second trip I'll record it. I don't know. We'll see. But next time you see me, folks, we hopefully will have a ton of money, or if something goes wrong, we're going to be a hurting unit and I'll probably have to close up the company. Everything is on the line right now. I hope that you guys love this video as much as I love to do them. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to come and watch them. Don't forget, as I've said so many times, to come on over and hang out in our twitch.tv/GunninGamerz. We've got lots of classy folks that hang out over there, a bunch of people that have real life pilot license that love to give me advice and help me along. It's a great environment to hang out, ask questions, get to watch everything live. And yes, that is 3 times now that my plane has hit the ground that the folks watching the live streams have got to see. So go over there, check it out. We'd love to have you join us. Don't forget to join our TeamSpeak community, and also make sure you're following us on Twitter. Very important, because I'll send out tweets every time that we go live. I thank you again. I look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, take care.